Today we're going to talk about protecting your passwords. We're going to go through the steps that you need to do in order to make sure that your business and your personal data is secure. First, I'm going to share with you a screen that one of our customers saw a few weeks ago. There's a virus going around the internet right now that tries a whole bunch of random passwords on your server, and if it gets in, it will encrypt all of the data on that server. Luckily, this customer had a backup and we were able to restore everything very quickly. All of our fixed IT customers have backups of their server daily. The issue, though, is that it takes some time to happen, to restore, etc. And this is an easy virus. It could have been worse. It could have been an actual hacker that got in and accessed their data or looked at something that they weren't supposed to. So how do you prevent this? Well, there really is only one way, and that is for you to create and manage a good password. So today we're going to talk about just that. We're going to talk about how you can create a good password, how to store that password, and how to use the cloud in order to more efficiently manage your passwords. So let's get started. First, creating a great password is a couple of steps. You need to have at least 8 characters. And when I say characters, I mean letters or numbers or whatever. You need to have 3 of the following: numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, or punctuation. The passwords need to be hard to guess, and that means it shouldn't include dictionary words or your birthday or information that somebody might know about you and could use that to access your information. The next thing that we need to make sure that it's difficult to read and hard to remember. The reason for this is if somebody's shoulder surfing or looking over your shoulder while you type your password in, if they're able to figure out what you're typing and remember it, then they'll be able to access your system later, and we don't want that. Bad passwords look like this: ABC123! Or password with an @ sign and a 0. Anything with welcome in it, like welcome 1, welcome 2, welcome 1! These are all bad passwords. Good passwords look more like this: the number 5, FJJ9, @ sign, ! As you can see, if I were typing this password in, it would be hard for somebody to recognize what I'm typing or remember it. The problem becomes it's also hard for me to remember that password. So that's why we're going to talk about a system, a simple system that you can use to remember your passwords. You see, the password capital B, lowercase it, capital B, lowercase cg, capital E, ! is a good password. It's also created with a system. Here's how it works. You take a sentence, my favorite sentence, Bruce is the best computer guy ever, and you use the first letter of each of the words in that sentence, including the uppercase and lowercase, and end it with some punctuation. In this case, you end up with a password that we just went through. Another example of this is, it is May and I will be 29. If you look at this password, it's made by just using the first letters of each of the words and then the full number. So now that you can create a great password, you might feel like you should use that same password for everything. This is a bad idea. In fact, you should only use this password for one of your accounts. If they match, then if somebody breaks into your Facebook account, they'll be able to get to your corporate email. The next rule of thumb is to change your password often. Some of you have corporate policies and require that you change them every 30 days or every 90 days. We recommend that you follow your corporate policy as a rule of thumb. If you don't have a corporate policy, changing every 30 days is an easy way to remember to get it to happen, as in you just change it on the first of the month. So now you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, I've got 85 passwords and I have all these different places that I have to make sure and remember to change them and maintain them at. Now I'm going to tell you one more step, which is you can never store your password in Excel, and you never ever want to email your password. You also don't want to store your password in a file called password, because that's the first place I'm going to look if I'm hacking into your system. And you never ever want to write your password down. My mom, in fact, I have a little story for you. My mom wrote her password down in a little booklet that she kept inside of her purse. And she wrote down every single password in there for all of her websites, all of her personal banking, everything. Then she proceeded to lose the booklet. Well, we're not even so concerned about somebody accessing the booklet and getting access to her accounts as we are going through and having to change all these passwords, which has really become a royal pain. So I really recommend that you have a system for storing your passwords. Luckily, there's a product out there that's free called Keypass, and it's a great place to store your password. There's another video on our website that shows you how to use Windows and Keypass, as well as one on Android and iPhone. I'm going to go through a little bit of the theory now, just so that you understand how it works and how it can work together to keep your password safe and secure. The first thing is that there's a master password. This is a password that opens a vault. You want to make sure that this one's secure and difficult to guess, just like any other password. You then have a password database that's full of information, like your personal information. In fact, you can put scanned forms in there and scanned information, like maybe a copy of your passport or your birth certificate. You then use it to store other passwords like Dropbox, Evernote, Facebook, email, and your banking information. It can also store the URLs and give you a spot to place notes about services. Then you can access that file in all different places if you place it on your Dropbox folder. The nice thing is that not only are you using Dropbox's security to make sure that it's secure, you're going one step further and you're encrypting everything in this password database, and it's impossible for somebody to unencrypt. Well, actually it's possible, but it would take months and months of a computer toiling away at it to gain access. Remember when I told you to rechange your password every 30 days? This is why. If you put it in Dropbox, then you can access that on your home computer, you can access it on your work computer, and you can even access it on your iPhone or Android phone. There's a couple of products that you might also want to get. One is called Mini Keypass. This goes on your iPhone and gives you access to your Keepass database. And another one called Keypass Droid, which goes on your Android device and gives you access to your Keepass database. So why store these passwords in the cloud? Well, first, you could create a password file that you could then share with other people on your team. Maybe you're managing a number of passwords for different bank accounts in your accounting group. This would be a good way to do that. You can also make them accessible everywhere, and we just walked through how you can do that with your home and your work computers. Finally, it creates a backup, because the nice thing about using Dropbox is a backup stored on your machine and also in the cloud. One word of caution though, you should also make a real backup, because if something corrupts your file in both places, you won't be able to recover it so easily. So a quick recap. We want you to make complex passwords like capital B, lowercase it, capital B, lowercase cg, capital E, exclamation, 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 because they're hard for other people to remember or guess. We want you to never email your password. The reason for this is when you send an email, it's clear text. It's kind of like sending a postcard to somebody, and anybody can read that email along the way. You should probably also never ever send personal information across email as well. Next, you can store your passwords in a product like Keepass, and this will allow you to maintain all of those different passwords that you should be using for each of your different services. And finally, you can use cloud services like Dropbox to synchronize your passwords between devices if you're using a product like Keepass.